I was mad. I was mad. Like, I cannot believe you did that. Like, I cannot believe you did that. Like, mad.
Yeah.
So, I binged the whole first season. I'm waiting to watch the second season. There's a lot going on, and I need to not be harmful to others.
That is true.
when I watch it. But on a second note, I didn't mention it, and it's because I haven't listened to it yet. But every year, while I'm doing stuff at Christmas time or watching, just like putting up the tree or doing other stuff, I re-listen to the first in the Virgin River series, A Virgin River Christmas with Marcy and Ian.
Yes.
She's a military widow who goes in search of her husband's best friend, who she doesn't think he knows that her husband passed away. And he's fallen off the map. He's a Marine like her husband was. And, Virgin River is a town full of Marines. And he's a Marine, and he's sort of fallen off the map, and she makes it her mission to find him. And when she gets there, she gets really sick and ends up having to stay in this one-room cabin with this really gruff hero who is kind of like checked out of the rest of he's checked out of the rest of the world. He's kind of very much a loner. He's living on this cabin, surrounded by hundreds, maybe thousands of acres of trees. Yes. No, that's the last book, I think.
I know, but these are the ones I'm going to read.
And those are the other ones, yes. And it ends up being that this bright, shiny girl who has been looking for her husband's best friend, she goes looking for him. And it ended up being one of my favorite stories. I mean, you had me at Marine. I've done my part in all country. And so I love stories about Marine. And it's one of my favorite holiday stories because you get this griff man this really gruff hero who it turns out has the most beautiful singing voice. And it's just one of my favorite romance stories for the holidays. Robin Carr, Virgin River Christmas is like one of my favorites. I go back to it all the time.
Yes.
Yes.
I absolutely love Robin Carr's Christmas stories. And Michelle, I can't remember. I have My Kind of Christmas in front of me, and I have Bring Me Home for Christmas, and I can't remember the ones with the Christmas puppy where somebody abandoned the puppies under the Christmas tree.
That was a short story.
Okay.
That one was called, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a short story about puppies, and it ended up being a romance between the woman who finds the puppies under the tree in the box and the town veterinarian. She's a hairdresser.
Yes.
She's a hairdresser. Yes. He's a town veterinarian.
Yes, and I love that story because he was supposed to be going away with his friends to the Caribbean, and
right.
And they find these puppies, and they're keeping them out of his place, and she has to drive out there, and she has this huge family that owns the vineyard, I believe, or a farm, and he gets a chance to spend time with them. So it was. I enjoyed that too. So I'm looking forward to that. And Lisa, what's your Christmas read?
Well, I just listened to an audiobook, so it's kind of cheating. But
no, it's not. No, it's not.
It's called Duty or Desire, from Brenda Jackson.
Ooh.
And it's the Westmoreland Legacy #5 in her series.
The Westmoreland.
And yes, the sexy sheriff gets a love. Mr. Pete Higgins. He gets surprised. His brother and sister-in-law die in an accident, and they have an infant child that was at home, being babysat. So the child is now an orphan. And the in-laws supposedly were going to take care of the baby, but then they decided that she was too much for them to take care of, and they're as old as they were. So they show up at his doorstep one day, knock on the door, hey, you need to take care of your niece. So now he's a single man having to raise his infant niece. She's a little baby, so he doesn't know what to do with her. He gets a nanny, and his live-in nanny is an older lady, and her sister gets sick, so she has to leave town to go take care of her sister. So he has to hire a temporary nanny, and the temporary nanny is the sexy lady that just came to town, and he immediately is like, as soon as he sees her, he wants her, so he's like, no, you can't, I'm not hiring you, get out. And she's like, well, how rude, so he just dismisses her immediately for no other reason than he's attracted to her. And,
wow.
And you find out his backstory is he lost his fiance 15 years ago, and she died in a horse accident. So some guy was stalking her, and because she rejected him, he lit a firecracker under the horse's feet, and the horse bucked and killed her, So he's been mourning for this long time. So he dates, but he doesn't date. He just has sex. Because he won't get attached to anyone. So now the young hot nanny is in the picture. He has no other recourse. By the time he throws her out, he figures out there's nobody else in town that's qualified to take care of his niece. So, and this lady has degrees in childhood psychology. She's worked in nurseries, and she's overqualified for the position.
Wow.
So he has no choice but to go and beg her to come and help him with the niece. And because he's a sheriff, he has weird hours. He has to go out and, serve the community. And in the meantime, he ends up falling in love with her, which he knew automatically when he first saw her that he would have feelings for her. And that's why he rejected her. But he falls into a sexual relationship under the guise of, it's just going to be, sex only, no feelings involved. And she agrees to it. And so it's really a good story. It's short, but it's very good and well written, as Brenda Jackson does. So
yes.
I enjoyed that story very much.
Okay. That one sounds good too. I mean, there's so many wonderful books out there. I have the plan to read a few Christmas anthologies this year, so I downloaded 2, and I also have one Christmas book on my list. So the Christmas book is Ghosts of Christmas, and that's by Kenya Wright.
Yeah.
And I am so looking forward to reading that. We actually read one book by Kenya Wright earlier this year. It's called Redemption, so y'all might remember Yoshiro and Ebony with the 3 children. And that was also a story that happened at Christmas time, but it was almost like a thriller in some ways, where Ebony, the heroine in the book, was a romance writer and a mom to 3 children, but she was on the run from an abusive husband. And she met Yoshiro when I think her truck either broke down or it crashed on his property. And he is basically a retired assassin for the mafia.
That was
basically.
last month's book.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We read another book by her that was a Christmas book, so that's why I'm so looking forward to reading this one. And then the anthologies that I chose, one is called Christmas Comes to Dickens, and that's an anthology with about 12 authors in it. And the other one you all probably have heard of because it made USA Today, the USA Today bestsellers list, and it's called Christmas Actually. And that's one of the anthologies. Yes, that's the one where the headliner is Shirley Jump. So I am definitely looking forward to that one as well. And then it's so interesting because this year I find myself revisiting things, even my own stories. And I think a part of that is just comfort in the familiar because there's so much happening in 2020 that's not familiar to me. Thank goodness, because I don't have to get used to this. But I wrote a Christmas book, a sweet Christmas book back in 2016, I think. And it used to be called A Doctor for Christmas, and I changed the name to Second Chance Christmas last year. and it's in my Bachelors of Shell Cove series. And so that book got a new cover this year that's absolutely gorgeous. It's around here somewhere in all this office clutter. And it's a story about Zuri Akoru and Aaron Walters. And if you all remember the Walters family, that's Ava's brother. So my debut novel was Ava and Logan. And so this is her brother's story when he met his wife. And it all starts with a bet between sisters, okay? So Zari basically needs a man for Christmas to win a bet. She bet her paycheck, which is crazy. Do not do that in 2020. Do not bet your paycheck. Do not gamble away your paycheck. But at the time when I wrote this book, that was an option. So Zuri bet her paycheck that she could have a man by Christmas. And she was going to the eConnection website, and she was running out of time, and her date canceled. She ran to the local park looking for the local hobo. He had already had Christmas plans. So she was trying to find this date for Christmas, and ends up, the story set in Florida, and she gets caught in a holiday storm, which you all know how much rain we can get in Florida in December. And so she ends up. Know,
but okay.
Yes, you can get a lot of rain. If you've never been you can get a lot of rain in November and December in Florida. I thought you got some rain when you were in Miami a year ago or 2 years ago, but I might be wrong. But yes, you can get rain.
No, it didn't rain. It might have been before I got there.
Yes, and so she ends up in the drugstore where her former boyfriend is the pharmacist, and it's pouring down rain, and the cops make her get off the street, and the pharmacy is the only thing that's open. And she runs in there, and the power is out. And she's in there with her former boyfriend, and she ends up having to stay there with Aaron, and they actually have to talk through why things went wrong with them, which is something she absolutely did not want to do. She was so upset with him, with how they broke up. And, of course, whenever family is involved in a breakup, it can be messy. And that's the case with these two. And so they actually have to talk through it. And the next morning when she gets up to go leave, she's totally prepared to lose this bet because she did not get her man for Christmas. And Aaron shows up at Christmas dinner. And everybody is thrilled, including the family member that caused all the trouble in the first place. And then it kicks off again with that. But I had a wonderful time writing that book because it really was about the magic of Christmas. It had a little bit to do with Christmas angels making things happen to get these two people in the place where they needed to be so they can truly reconcile and get their second chance. And at the end of that book, an angel actually earns her wings for bringing these two people together. And then the archangel says, I hope you're ready for your next assignment because it's Ava and Logan. And then that's when my debut novel kicks off, which is Chasing Ava. So I was happy to, revisit one of the books that came out earlier in my career, to see it kind of get new legs with a beautiful new cover to it, which I absolutely love, especially with wrapping up the final book in the season, Consuming Logan, which came out earlier this month on the 2nd of December, where Logan and Ava get their happily ever after. So I hope you'll check out all of those this year while you're home, hopefully, during your holiday break. And Lisa, I know you have a few other Christmas books in your catalog as well.
I do. We'll start with a short story, which is known as Blue. I love that story. It's so cute and romantic. It's a very short story, and it's a woman who was madly in love with her husband,